Hey everyone, Madrybread here. Pokemon Fire Red with only Nidorans was a weird one, so let's follow that up with my first Fallout 3 challenge. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Fallout 3 using only guns with no gun skill. In Fallout 3, weapon damage and accuracy is partly determined by the character's skill in that weapon's category. Most guns fall under the category of small guns, but there's also big guns and energy weapons. In this run, not only are we only using guns and no melee weapons, but we're going to be using console commands to make sure that we always have a 0 in all gun skills, essentially making it so that our only means of defense is incredibly unreliable. I'm probably going to have to avoid combat when possible and use the terrain to my advantage when forced to fight indoors. The low accuracy of the gun is probably going to take away most of its advantage as a ranged weapon. Also, real quick in case you're new, hi, I'm Madrybread. I've been doing weekly challenges like this for almost 2 years, but mostly in Pokemon, Oblivion, and Skyrim. This is my first time doing a Fallout run, and in fact is going to be my first time beating Fallout 3 in at least 5 or so years, so I'm probably going to be really rusty. I did used to play this a lot ages ago though, back when it was new, so I'm sure some of it will come back to me as I play. Like always, I'm writing this script as I go through with the challenge, so this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I think that I can do it, but that running out of ammo is probably going to be a routine issue. Let's explain the rules. In combat, we can only use guns that we have 0 skill for. If our luck or agility raises in game, it'll give us more gun skill, but we'll just use another console command to lower it to 0 again. Lastly, only cosmetic mods are allowed. I'm not allowed to use any mods that affect gameplay. In fact, I just have none installed. Also, if you enjoy the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So, since this is my first challenge run in Fallout 3, I'm gonna do what I did with my first run in Oblivion and Skyrim, where I walk you through the main story of the game. The game starts with us being born. Like, it actually starts with us being born. Right away, we learn that our mother died in labor, and our dad is Liam Neeson. Sorry, I know I'm throwing a lot of weird stuff at you right now if you've never played this game before. Life comes at you fast as you're about to find out. Our dad is the head doctor in our vault, and it seems that he's a pretty respected man. We flash forward to being a baby in a playpen, and this is when we pick our special stats. Basically, our attributes. Special stands for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. The lowest they go is 1, the highest is 10, and they help power up different skills and unlock the ability for us to get specific perks. I'm no pro at the perk list of this game, so we just went with max intellect for a lot of skill points, a bit of endurance for more health, and some charisma for speech checks. I dropped agility to 1 since it's mostly for VATS, the RPG shooting mechanic of the game, and we probably aren't going to be landing too many hits in that mode. Right after, I use a console command to set ourselves to 0 small guns, since we'll need it eventually anyway. So after that, we flash forward to when we're at our 10th birthday party, when we're finally given our first Pip-Boy, basically a video screen on your wrist that you use for your inventory and status menus. Plus, it acts like a flashlight, somehow. I guess you hold it out in front of you. Anyway, we're forced to mingle with the people at the party. Butch cements himself as our childhood bully as he instantly demands that we give him the sweet roll that was baked for us, but I told him to go soak his head. Naturally, he flew into a berserk rage, as anyone would, but the security stopped him. Butch couldn't chase me around the table, so I somehow doubt he would win the fight. After the party, our dad takes us down to the reactor level, where he and his coworker give us a BB gun for some fun. So I double check that our small gun skill is 0, and my god, would you look at that gun waiver. We actually missed a shot from spread. Even the Radroach, one of the weakest enemies in the game, took 4 shots to take down. This is gonna be a rough run. Next, we flash forward to taking exams as a teenager. This is where you can tag your 3 skills you want to focus on. Tagging made more sense in Fallout 1 and 2, where it doubles your skill points as you put them into the skills so you can heavily specialize, but in this game it just adds a lump sum of 15 to each skill tagged. I went with repair so that our guns can at least be of good quality, even if we're not good at using them. Sneak so that we can hopefully sneak past some fights, and speech to find peaceful ways around otherwise dangerous quests. Also, Butch is harassing Amada, the daughter of the overseer of the vault we live in. I instantly challenge him to a fight, run away for about 1 full second, then he and his whole gang just gives up and I get karma. probably not how they thought that would go. After one last flash forward to when we're 19, we get woken up by Amada telling us that our dad escaped the vault and that the Overseer is going crazy and having the guards start killing people. I have no idea why the guards who live with all these people are so willing to shoot them, but whatever. Amada gives us a pistol and we go off to run and find our dad. Right away, Butch tells us that his mom is being attacked by rad roaches. How they got in here is beyond me, but I ran in and was able to one-shot all of them. Butch was so happy he gave us his jacket. Now we look like one tough customer. Hell yeah. Anyway, we ran for the exit of the vault, sprinting away from a guard that I don't want to waste the ammo on as we go. Then I broke into the Overseer's office by slowly lockpicking while being chased. Then he took another break to let us fail to hack a terminal over and over, as we make 3 guesses, back out, go back in, and it magically has a new password with refreshed attempts. Yeah, this minigame was never that interesting to me. Anyway, after playing Ring Around the Rosie with a guard for a little bit, we went through a secret tunnel to the exit and opened the door, finally escaping into the Capital Wasteland. Now that we're finally out of the vault, we have our main story mission, find our dad. We leveled up and put most of the points into sneak and speech. I took Quick Learner as my perk, netting us an extra 10% experience. Normally I wouldn't take this since perks are limited in this game, but this will help us to level faster for the challenge, so I took it. It's not like it's a long-term save file anyway. Now, a cool thing about this is if you happen to already know where he is because you've played the game before, you can just walk straight to him. But for the sake of my first Fallout 3 run, let's go through the main story bit by bit, just like you would if it was your first time playing. The first thing I do is walk to the nearby town of Megaton, a scrap city built around a nuclear bomb that hasn't gone off yet. Why they do that is beyond me, but an actual cult has formed around it by this point. We're greeted by Sheriff Lucas Sims. We ask him if he's seen someone who looks like our dad, but he says he doesn't know and that we should ask around town. Then I buttered him up by saying I'm willing to disarm the bomb for them. He instantly gives us permission to do it, even though he has no idea who we are. Then I asked him to give us some more info now that we're helping him. He says to hit at Moriarty's bar to ask around. I find Colin Moriarty outside of the saloon having a smoke. We talk for a bit. He claims that we weren't actually born in the vault, and that we moved there as a baby. In fact, we stayed at his saloon on the way to the vault. Although this guy is incredibly slimy, so I don't know how much of this we can actually believe. He does talk straight with us near the end, though. He says that our father was here and that he knows his location, but information is a commodity in this world and that we can pay him 100 caps for it. We don't have that much, so he instead offers that I go shake down someone who owes him money. She was gonna sell drugs to him. Yeah, honestly, I don't want to get involved with these guys. Instead of doing his dirty work, I decide to sneak in the back of the saloon and find the location myself by breaking into his cabinet, stealing his computer password, and digging through his notes on his computer. Apparently, when James, our father, showed up, he asked Colin for advice on learning about the world and the recent events. He told him to go to Three Dog, the guy running Galaxy News Radio, a radio station from the ruins of DC, so I guess that's where we're going. Oh, and if you're curious, Colin's password is lots of caps, all in lowercase. Great job, man. So I set off to travel across the wasteland. As I'm traveling, I decided to hit up a Super Duper Mart because I remember that there'd be good chances to get ammo there. But as I was out back, I heard gunshots. I snuck around the side when... Well, I've never seen that happen before. I found the body of a hunter in the area, and I got a hunting rifle and a few bullets off him. I doubt I can hit anything with this, but maybe it'll come in handy at close range? I went to inch around the corner thinking I'd see some bandits, when I saw a Yao Guai standing over a bunch of bodies. I've literally never seen one of those here in all of my time playing this game, and I know I don't stand a chance, so I slowly backed off and left it alone. After sneaking past some raiders on the outskirts of the ruins, we found the entrance to the metro tunnel that will take us to where we need to be. I found a Protectatron that was still functional while I was down there, so I grabbed a metro ticket and activated him. Let him scan my ticket, then followed him around as he cleared out a few mole rats for us. He won't take us the full path, though. The real threat here is the gate with a bunch of feral ghouls behind it. They're people who got horribly irradiated when the bombs dropped. Some ghouls are still pretty human, but other ones rot a bit too much and seem to go feral. So I break into an office, unlock the safe, and found a basic laser pistol with some energy cells. I went ahead and used the console command to drop our energy weapon skill to 0 right away, now that we actually have an energy weapon. Anyway, I start a gas leak, set it off with a BB gun somehow, get engulfed in flames and was still pretty much fine, but then we got attacked by a survivor of the explosion, a ghoul roamer. These guys are fast, hit hard, and wear armor. We quickly blew through almost all of our pistol ammo to take him down. He's only the last enemy of this part of the metro though, so I still have to be careful. In the second half of the metro, you don't know the fear I felt when I popped around the corner to see the silhouette of a super mutant in the distance. I'll give it to this game, it's got atmosphere. The mutant got jumped by a ghoul, so during the fight, I ran past it, hid in the booth till they lost track of me, then easily snuck to the metro exit. I was lucky for the distraction. There was no way I could take on a super mutant with this little ammo and come out of it in fighting shape. When we got outside, I started walking towards the building when I heard fighting break out. Some Brotherhood of Steel soldiers were here fighting with super mutants. There's no time to get into who the Brotherhood of Steel are right now, but they're fighting the super mutants to secure the Galaxy Radio building, so at least they're on our side right now. They make pretty short work of tons of super mutants here, so I take the chance to pick up tons of hunting rifles, assault rifles, and ammo off the bodies. Weirdly enough, the Brotherhood is perfectly fine with watching me steal energy cells off their own soldiers' bodies to power my laser pistol. At the end of the area, I loot a soldier and get a Fat Man, the name for a mini nuke launcher. You know what that means. Thumping is heard, and a super mutant behemoth appears. Right away, we use the console command to drop our big gun skill down to 0, we load the thing up, and fire. Yeah, that body was the commander of this unit. That might not be good. Oh, never mind, she sounds fine to me. Anyway, the behemoth was pretty easy. I nailed the first shot, and after that, the Brotherhood was able to finish it off without much input from me. Once I entered the building, I met up with Three Dog. He said that he met with our dad, but he won't tell us where he's going until we've contributed to the good fight, whatever that is. I ended up nailing a 28% speech check on the first try, though, by convincing him that if he tells us, our dad will help him. He told us that he's working on something called Project Purity, and that he's heading for Rivet City, where we need to find Dr. Lee. Rivet City is some community living in a dilapidated aircraft carrier, so we're gonna have to get it to the coast to go there. This is gonna be a long walk. As I got back through the metro, I spotted some raiders nearby. They were pretty close, and we have decent sneak skill, so I went over there to see if I could one-shot her when this happened.
Free and clean, fanny and all. Ain't that beautiful? But even better, it's finally happened. The water is clean and hell yeah.
Haven't shot at me yet. That's different.
So yeah, we met this lovely super mutant called Uncle Leo. I love this guy. He reminds me a bit of super mutants from Fallout 1, where they were simple-minded but pretty talkative. They didn't just attack on sight for the most part, unless you're running into them in the desert. Most super mutants in this game, though, are kind of generic enemies that just have a lot of health. Anyway, I was loving his story about how he just wants to live peacefully and how he was made into a super mutant when suddenly the conversation tree just ends and all I can do is threaten him or say goodbye. Well, that conversation ended out of nowhere. Back to the quest, I guess. About a minute down the road, I spotted a centaur. I hate these guys. They look terrifying, they accompany super mutants, and they spit gobs of something at you. I started pounding rifle shots into it when suddenly Leo came out of nowhere to back me up. That was pretty cool. A little ways down the road, I found some camp. I decided to sneak my way in to see if there was some good loot. I ended up getting in a terrifying fight where I found a captive and then a centaur walked in to fight me, and I had to lead it and a super mutant around while I shot at them. The centaur ended up taking a ton of shots, to the point that I gave up on the rifle and switched to the laser pistol for the fire rate. All I got for taking them down was a few bullets from the hostage I rescued and some low-value loot from around the room. I hope the experience points were worth it. Actually, a lot happens on our path to Rivet City. We took out a pretty cool bandit hideout and got some ammo for it, had a bunch of centaurs that we had to fight from afar, and had to outrun some super mutants in the last stretch who were firing hunting rifles at us. It was good times. It's kind of fun getting back into this game. The narrative might be a little bit weak, but just exploring is really fun. Once we talk to Dr. Lee, she pretty much instantly gets to sassing us. Short version is, our dad was here, but he already left. He was here to convince her to start back up Project Purity with them, some kind of plan to mass purify water to restore public access to clean drinking water. Noble goal. She says that it's been too long and Project Purity just won't work, so our dad left already. She says that he went to the old Project Purity control room to reactivate the pump himself, so we decided to go after him. Where would that be? Jefferson Memorial, obviously. And it's right next to a super mutant fortress. In fact, I see super mutants out front. Alright, sneaking sounds good. Pretty much instantly though, I got caught and had to shoot some dude in the grenade. I love how the guy just over there didn't even notice, so I took the opportunity to just get a sneak attack and start clearing the place. I'm pretty sure that I need to clear this place sooner or later anyway for a quest. As soon as I get inside, I ended up in a prolonged gunfight with one super mutant in a cramped hallway for ages, and just as I took him down, I had to fight another one. It's a good thing that I've been really diligent about finding ammo and stim packs, or I really wouldn't last long here. Oh, and if you haven't played Fallout before, stim packs are healing items. Stealth ends up being our friend here because these guys are half blind and full stupid. They seem to never notice when their allies have a massive gunfight within eyeshot of them. I love this dude who calls out that he has a grenade while he was standing next to his friend, so I got a 2-for-1 sale on the shot. Have you noticed, by the way, that the hit chance really isn't that bad? I thought it'd be worse. In the control room, I instantly run into 2 super mutant brutes, and it was a really tough fight. I break one's leg and managed to whittle him down, but the second one was terrifying. I shot the grenade off his belt and he came charging out of the explosion at me with a sledgehammer. I was finally able to crack out the assault rifle we got earlier and hardly able to take him down with it. That was slightly terrifying. Anyway, after searching the room, we found some tapes our dad made for some reason. We play one on our Pip-Boy and he announces that he was going to some place west of Evergreens that's well hidden in a gas station. And then our map just instantly puts a marker on the exact spot. All right, journey to the west. Fun fact, this is actually the part of the quest you can go do from the start if you want to. You could just go straight to where our map is telling us to go right now. I love when games do that. Everything we've done up till this point since leaving the vault is stuff we could skip if we wanted to, so long as we know what we're doing. On my way there, I fought tons of raiders on this awesome broken highway thinking that it would be worth it for the loot, but I didn't end up finding anything other than some caps. Wasn't worth the ammo, to be honest. While I was wasting my time fighting though, let me take this chance to plug my Twitter. I tweet dumb things and also show updates. I guess you could argue that show updates are dumb too, assuming that this show is dumb, and I mean it is. Anyway, after loads of walking and nothing too eventful happening, we finally reached Smith Casey's garage. We go in, clear out some mole rats, and look around. Yep, that switch stands out. The secret path takes us to Vault 112, where some robot tells us that we're late, to put on a Vault 112 vault suit, and to get into a Tranquility Lounger. Now, we have no reason to do this, and I walked around checking the other pods, and I really don't think any of them looked like our dad, but the game demands it, so I did it. As we enter the pod, we're suddenly a kid in a black and white 1950s suburb. It's instantly interrupted by a level up though, it just broke the tone amazingly. Our speech and sneak are actually getting pretty good at this point. For perk, I just took loads of Swift Learner, Educated for more skill points, and just now I took Scoundrel for speech and Barter, but mostly the speech. I forgot how bland Fallout 3 perks were. Anyway, some guy here tells us to talk to Betty in the park. She's clearly messing with us and knows more than we do. She just wants us to play a fun game and make a kid called Timmy cry. Yeah, I'm not playing this game. This area of the game is actually incredibly cool, and I'm gonna leave most of it for you guys to experience if you ever do pick up the game on sale. But we have a challenge to beat. The fastest way out of here is to go to the abandoned house and interact with all of the items around the place in the right order to activate the failsafe. You can figure out the code by just listening to the song that Betty is whistling. Her notes match the tone that comes out of the objects around the place. Once we do that, we can get into the failsafe computer. By reading through the notes, it turns out that Betty is Dr. Braun, some evil German scientist who's torturing people by making them live out his virtual reality worlds forever, where he mostly just tortures them forever. The way it works, they'll all die if they die in the program. The failsafe program will send a simulation of Chinese soldiers to gun everyone down, but they won't touch Braun. In the very same notes, Braun points out that living forever without people to toy with is basically his worst fear, so naturally we activate the failsafe. Yes, we just got good karma for letting everyone die, but this was unfortunately inevitable. Braun is pretty mad about the whole thing, but doing this also opens up the door out of here, and he can't use it, so we just walk out. Once we're out, our dad comes to us from the pod next to us, so I guess I just didn't recognize him without the lab coat. Anyway, he tells us that we can adapt Braun's technology to get Project Purity running again, and he wants me to help him, so it's back to Rivet City to see if we can get Dr. Lee on the project again. I don't really know how virtual reality tech will help us make a water pump, but whatever. I guess I'm not the scientist here, although neither is he. He's not wearing a lab coat anymore, and that's what makes you a scientist. Once we get back, we watch a bunch of awkward dialogue between the two where they more or less just say, "We can do it," and "but it's impossible," back and forth until Dr. Lee relents and it's off to Jefferson Memorial again. But first we have to stock up on ammo. We haven't cleared the basement yet, and I'm sure it's loaded with super mutants. I also got some new armor while I was at it, so that's nice. Still, I don't know if this will be enough ammo. We do so little damage. As I go through the basement trying to take out the mutants one by one, I find that it's not all that bad so long as you actually do take them out one by one. Sometimes I catch them two at a time, and that's pretty hard to deal with. But we have so many guns that at least there's variety. Also, in spite of our 0 small gun skill, the hit chance on VATS is really solid, so it must be more based on perception or something. It helps that we're really close to them as well. That's useful because VATS gets critical hits a lot more often than shooting normally does. Anyway, we clear the place out and the scientists move in. Our dad instantly starts making us do menial chores by having us run down to the basement to flip one switch, a job anyone else could do. Then he hands us fuses and tells us to run all the way back down again to put the fuses in, again like anyone else could do. Then he tells me to go crawl around in the maintenance tunnels. Great, thanks Dad, this is awesome. I can really tell that you appreciate having me here. While we were down there, we saw something land from the sky, dropping off soldiers. Our dad lets everyone know it seems to be the Enclave, the last of the American government. Good thing there's a convenient speaker system here in this random broken maintenance tunnel. Anyway, these dudes are super dangerous, so I sneak my way back to the main room. In there, we see our dad, and the colonel of this group is demanding that our dad hand over everything. When he refused, they shot one of his co-workers. In response, our dad poisons the chamber they're in and tells us to run. Well, he's dead. Dr. Lee and I start sprinting out of the place, but almost right away she grabs a plank from a dead super mutant and went berserk, attacking the Enclave head on. It's kind of hilarious to watch these incredibly strong super soldiers in power armor, and they're just helpless against this woman in a lab coat with a plank who just keeps getting back up. Not only does she have tons of health, but if she runs out, she just lays down for like 30 seconds and then gets right back up. If it wasn't for her, we probably wouldn't have cleared this area. Next is the escape tunnel where we need to escort the scientists. There's a few Enclave guys down here that we mostly run from, and a few ghouls that are pretty easy to take down with a laser rifle that I got off one of the Enclave goons that Dr. Lee took down. I'm pretty sure that at this point there's supposed to be a tense shootout where we wait for Dr. Lee to open the door, but they just never attacked. I mean, they're right through that door. They can see us. I guess they just don't care. Halfway through, randomly Dr. Lee stops us and says that one dude has a heart condition, so we all have to just stand there, even though we're being actively pursued. I gave her 5 stim packs, and she decided we could continue now. Man, it's a good thing I had been saving those things up. That's like 160 caps worth of stim packs right there. It doesn't take long before we finally got past the Brotherhood of Steel checkpoint and we're safe. They even let me raid their ammo bins. This escape tunnel takes us straight to the Brotherhood of Steel's base here, the Citadel. Once we get inside, we get the experience for finishing up a quest and level up, so I max out my sneak skill. I remember that we have a hard part coming up and we probably need to be prepared. After that, we watch a cutscene that's probably not playing out how they intended. Our movement is locked while we watch this, by the way, so I can't even get a better angle.
Now, this is James's son, I presume? I can see the resemblance.
Honestly, I just don't see it. Anyway, once we get inside, we ask a scribe for help finding a Gek, the Garden of Eden creation kit. It's actually the item we were looking for in the main story of Fallout 2 as well. He doesn't know where we can find one, but he lets us use an old Vault-Tec computer to look for it. This has the equipment log for all of the local vaults, but not much else. Most of the info we find is redacted, since vaults have secret projects that they were conducting on the people who lived there. We found that Vault 87 has a Gek though, so we report back to the scribe. He tells us where the vault is, but says that it's incredibly highly irradiated, and the best way to get there might be through the Lamplight Caverns nearby, so let's go there. Once we get there, we're instantly held up by Mayor MacCready. Hey, if you played Fallout 4, you might actually remember this guy as a companion you can hire in Diamond City. Anyway, welcome to Little Lamplight. This is a city run entirely by kids, and they don't normally allow adults in. Thankfully, our speech skill is awesome, so it's easy to convince them that we're friendly, and they let us through. I decided that we hadn't had enough action, so instead of taking the easy route in and having them just open the door for us, I sneak through Murder Pass instead. Of course, though, I almost instantly got caught because the area is so cramped and ended up just having to sprint through it. They only took out about half my health in the chase, but we don't have many stim packs, so it didn't go that great. Once I got in, we leveled up, so I maxed out our speech skill and dumped the rest into repair so at least our weapons can be good quality. I also took the commando perk so that we'd have higher accuracy in VATS with our two-handed rifles. This vault ended up being incredibly nasty. We were constantly cycling through weapons to use whatever ammo we had. I quickly realized that sneak does very little here, as they nearly always spot us instantly. I was having shootouts with assault rifles, hunting rifles, our flamer. A couple of times we even had to use the old Fat Man to blow them up. It's honestly the hardest area I can remember in a modern Fallout game. This challenge is genuinely making these fights tense for me because I don't know if my ammo and medicine can hold out. Eventually, in the labs, we meet Fox. I mean, I think that was his name. The game glitched out and two of him were talking at the same time.
Come speak to me. I'm in the room to your left. Use the intercom to the window.
Anyway, he's another super smart super mutant. He said that he can get to the radioactive room to get us the Gek, but we have to break him out of here. Tripping the fire alarm will do it, but it will also open every other lab room, so the failed experiments will flood the place. I probably have enough radiation resistance medication to get the Gek on our own, but honestly, I need the backup. Having a super mutant on my side to at least distract enemies would be massive for our survivability, so I think it's worth it. In the maintenance room, I had a great rifle duel with a couple of super mutants who thankfully gave me a pretty good ammo rebate, then I pulled the fire alarm. Some random human and a centaur came out of the labs. The centaur was pretty easy thanks to him helping me out, but when I went to talk to him, he instead started chasing me down the hall. I had to pump tons of shots into the guy before he went down. That was the toughest thing I fought here. Now that Fox is thrilled to be free, he goes ahead and escorts us to the Gek. It's a great thing that we got him, because not only does this mean I don't have to fight the hordes of super mutants between us and the Gek alone, but he actually does all the work for me. They seem to hardly hurt Fox at all, so I just hang back and pick up the ammo left behind. Anyway, Fox honors his end of the bargain and brings us the Gek before we part ways. On my way back, I heard a noise, turned around, and got flashbanged. Enclave caught us. When we wake up, we're face to face with Colonel Mustard again. How he survived getting drowned in radiation in the control room with our dad is beyond me, considering they both collapsed and our dad is dead. He interrogated us for the code to Project Purity, but I don't know it. It doesn't take long before the president calls him out of the room, though. Oh yeah, I never brought this up, but the Enclave has a radio station too, and it's mostly used for patriotic speeches from the president. He personally unlocks our restraints remotely and tells us to come to his office over the intercom. As soon as I get out of the room, this poor lieutenant didn't get the order that we were supposed to be let out, and we watch the president chew him out over the intercom for interrupting us. As we walk through the building, we hear the president say over the intercom to everybody to just leave us alone. Things start smoothly, but about a minute later, Mustard gets on the intercom and retracts it and tells everybody to shoot me on sight, so straight to sneaking. Why the president doesn't just get on the intercom again and overrule some colonel, I don't know. Kind of feel like the president's higher on the pecking order here. As we finally make our way into the president's office, we just find a giant computer. And well, that's the president. Yes, somehow the Enclave elected a computer. Anyway, he actually has a really good reason for wanting to talk to us. He wants to fix the Capital Wasteland, so his plan is to get Project Purity working, but with a chemical in it that their labs cooked up. Not only will it purify the water, but it will destroy any mutated creature that drinks it too. Considering the Capital Wasteland is overrun with super mutants, this seems like a great solution. The problem is, we know that some super mutants are friendly, and ghouls would die from this too. Sure, there are feral ghouls, but honestly, most of the ones we've seen are just normal people. I actually really like this moral qualm, because it makes sense why President Eden would be on his side of it. He's a computer. He can't go outside and walk around in the world to meet friendly ghouls like we can. All he knows is what his soldiers tell him, and they're told to shoot mutants on sight, so that's what they do. They genuinely think they're saving humanity, and some of the time they are, but they don't seem to understand that some of the citizens they should be protecting happen to be ghouls now. I think it's awesome when a game has a villain where you can understand why they believe they're the hero. But enough praising this scene, because it doesn't take long before the dumbest dialogue of the game. After being incredibly nice with us the whole time, I randomly have a choice to tell him that he has to blow himself up. He obviously asks why, considering we just said this out of nowhere mid-conversation. I point out that he can't control his own troops, and he seriously considers what I'm saying. He asks if that means that everything they've done should be destroyed, and we try to appeal to the computer's empathy by asking him to do what's right. He instantly agrees with us, have his robots help us fight our way out, then blows himself and the entire base to bits. That is how easy it was to convince the leader of the Enclave to completely destroy the Enclave. I know everyone complains about this plot point, but seriously, this is some of the worst writing I have ever seen in a major RPG. This game is for adults. So yeah, we ran out of the place while his robots help us escape, grabbing tons of ammo on the way. As we get out, we find Fox, who just got finished taking out the front gate guards with his new laser Gatling gun. He said he was here to give us our freedom like we gave him his, and I let him join us. I like Fox. He makes a lot more sense than President Eden. And the president actually did blow up the base, by the way. That's how stupidly easy this is. One speech check. Back at the Brotherhood Basin, they're discussing when to take Jefferson Monument back. We told them that the Enclave has the Gek, and even though we know the base blew up, and I don't have any reason to believe it's not there, but whatever, Big Boss here asks where the mutation-killing virus is, and I hand it over because Eden gave it to us. The game then proclaims that this gave us good karma, and I laughed out loud, because the Brotherhood of Steel also has a shoot-on-sight policy for mutants, and if they acted at all like the Brotherhood of Steel from the other games, they totally would do the same thing the Enclave were planning and just control it for themselves. Oh, and by the way, Fox is in the room for this whole conversation, and none of the Brotherhood of Steel are even acknowledging that he's there. Yeah, Fallout 3 was Bethesda's first time making a Fallout game, and you can understand where the common criticism of Bethesda didn't read the source material comes from. It's like they only know of a bunch of Fallout stuff, but they don't actually know any of it in detail. Anyway, the battle plan right now is to activate some kind of robot that they have, then have us and some Brotherhood soldiers accompany it to take back Project Purity. The robot ends up being Liberty Prime, a giant death bot that shoots eye lasers, throws giant grenades, and yells out goofy patriotic one-liners. It seems like this would be really cool, but it's really just a super slow escort mission where there's nothing to do and Liberty Prime fights for us. Oh, and save often, right when we were about to get to the end, the game crashed. Believe it or not, this was the first crash I got while playing. Anyway, after loading, he took down the gate and we were finally able to enter. Myself, Fox, and the leader of the local Brotherhood of Steel troops run in and charge with me. Although, she got stuck in a door, so Fox and I did all the real fighting. The place got cleared out pretty fast though. Even with a 0 in energy weapons, our plasma rifle is real strong, and we've got a repair skill up high enough that the gun is in great condition. Once we got to the center of the place, Colonel Mustard is here to talk trash. I tell him to bring it. He talks a big game for a dude with no armor who went down in like 4 hits. That's when the game soft locked. Because Lyons, the leader of this group, got stuck in a door earlier, we can't progress. The door locks behind you here and you have no way out. The game also autosaves when you come in and overwrites the autosave. So if I didn't have a backup save, this would have broken our save file in the final room of the game. No, I'm not joking. It's a good thing I keep backup saves. You can't even wait in this room to get her to spawn, in case you're curious. It's nuts. Alright, I try again, and this time she's in the room, so the plot progresses. Dr. Lee tells us on the intercom that the place is gonna blow up if pressure isn't released from the tanks, so we have to turn on the machine now, but there's lethal levels of radiation in the chamber itself. Either we go in, Lyons does, or we send in our follower. Thankfully, our follower is Fox, a super mutant, so he's immune to radiation. I send him in with the password 216. Our late mother's favorite Bible passage. It's been drilled into us the whole game. He goes in, slams the enter key a few times, and it works, saving the wasteland and beating the game. Oh, but you need to see this part of the ending that I got, because I need to know if this boils your blood too.
It was not until the end of this long road that the lone wanderer was faced with that greatest of virtues, sacrifice. But the child refused to follow the father's selfless example, instead allowing a true hero to venture into the irradiated control chamber of Project Purity.
So apparently, we're not the real hero because we didn't walk into the radioactive chamber to die. My choices were for me to die, for Lyons to die, or for no one to die. I picked for no one to die, and instead of that making me smart, that just makes me not a real hero. My god. Did you know that when this game first came out, you couldn't send Fox in? He would just say it's your destiny. People were rightfully furious, and this choice was patched in. That's right. Like an hour before the end of the game, they gave you someone whose whole plot point is that he's immune to radiation, and they made the final challenge of the game be a radioactive room, and they imply you're a coward if you don't walk in and die like an idiot. Like I said before, Fallout 3's writing is its weak point. Anyway, the sour note aside of how this game ends on, I actually had a blast recording this run. I hadn't played Fallout 3 in a long time, and it aged so much better than I remembered. Just exploring the wasteland had so many tense moments. I would honestly love to just let's play the game again sometime. Maybe I'll stream it on Twitch or something and then upload it here. Who knows? I hope you guys liked that run. For next Saturday's challenge is back to Pokemon with one Spearow in Pokemon Red. As always, I'm looking forward to your suggestions in the comments, in the challenge request section of my Discord channel, and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. If you want to see me do more challenges like this, please let me know in the comments or on Twitter. I can always use more ideas from you guys on what I should do next. Also, check out the playlist in the description if you'd like to watch all the challenges that I've already uploaded. Also, come to my Twitch TV streams and tell me that this video sent you. It's always cool to hear how you found the channel. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.